Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're totally demystifying the concept of, well, getting a personality. We're gonna break down a fascinating framework that takes you from feeling completely boring to becoming instantly, effortlessly memorable. And trust me, it's way easier than you think. So, we gotta start with the root of the problem, right? Why do you feel boring in the first place? Picture this. You're at a party, someone comes up to you and drops that dreaded, overly simple question, "So, what do you do for fun?" And boom, you freeze. It's like your brain just empties out. After the 80-second time of not being able to name a single actual hobby, it starts to feel like this heavy, awful truth. Maybe you literally just don't have any. It's incredibly frustrating feeling like a totally empty vessel in a room full of people who seem, inherently interesting. But hold on, think back to your childhood for a second. Having a personality back then was just effortless. Your whole identity could be summed up so perfectly. You absolutely loved Harry Potter, you knew a weird amount of random facts about frogs, and you were totally unbeatable at Connect 4. Within 40 seconds of meeting an adult, they instantly pegged you as the Harry Potter Connect 4 frog kid. It was magic, right? But now, as adults, we often feel like this frustratingly blank slate. We're totally stripped of those easy, fun little labels we used to wear like badges of honor. And when we try to fix this whole blank slate feeling, we usually crash right into the most mainstream advice out there. Hey, just be yourself. Well, here's the harsh truth. Telling someone to just be themselves is practically extrovert propaganda. Seriously, extroverts have this bizarre natural ability to just be interesting by simply existing. They use these social wizard tactics that an introvert might logically understand, sure, but could never actually pull off in real life. So unless you can miraculously flip a switch in your brain chemistry and become an extrovert overnight, be yourself is honestly terrible advice. So when be yourself inevitably flops, where do we usually turn? Google, obviously. And what does it do? It feeds you ads for personality tests, tells you to go read more books, suggests joining a random pottery class, or implies you need to backpack across Europe. But let's be real here. The hard truth is that no matter how many exotic trips you take or how many pottery classes you sit through, none of those things by themselves are actually going to give you a memorable personality, at least not in the way you actually want. Because frankly, taking a pottery class just for the sake of it isn't going to magically fix the problem. When we talk about having a personality, what we're really getting at is the ability to seem interesting to other people. It's about having actual stuff to talk about and being remembered for clear, distinct traits. Think about the most memorable people you know. I bet you instantly associate very specific, clear things with them. The more of those clear, memorable traits you can attach to your own identity, the more personality you'll project to the outside world. So what's the actual fix here? It's a proven strategy called the spike method. And the coolest part? This isn't just some fluffy internet pop psychology. This is a highly guarded, legitimate trick used in college admissions. It's exactly how regular, everyday students get into elite Ivy League schools without, literally donating a library. The whole concept is about finding one super niche, obscure trait and leaning into it so intensely that it physically sticks out on an application, or in our case, in your everyday social interactions. Get this. College admissions officers are literally paid to hunt down applicants with cool, highly distinct personalities. They honestly don't want generic, well-rounded kids who just blend into the background. They are actively looking for students with these highly obscure, fascinating spikes. This is exactly why the college essays with the absolute highest success rates are always about something incredibly weird or niche. We're talking about essays diving into the intense, cutthroat world of competitive knitting, or analyzing the medical applications of playing Tetris. Those topics instantly make you impossible to forget. Okay, so how do we actually apply this to your day-to-day life? Let's throw out a wild example. Let's say you choose cleaning. Yep, cleaning. Just stick with me for a second. Imagine you decide that cleaning is going to be your spike. For 1 month, you spend a decent chunk of time every single day just learning about cleaning. You read up on deep cleaning lore, you study totally obscure techniques, you go down a rabbit hole of cleaning videos. Heck, maybe you even save up for a pressure washer and practice blasting the grime off your driveway. Now, if you actually do that, the results are kind of mind-blowing. In less than a single month of focused attention, you will have accumulated more actual experience and knowledge in that highly specific niche than 99% of people will ever have in their entire lifetime. Let that sink in. You have officially forged a spike. You are no longer that blank slate anymore. The next time you meet someone new, you will genuinely be known as the cleaning expert. Now, I know what you're thinking. Being a cleaning expert doesn't exactly scream traditional party conversation, right? But watch how this totally transforms mundane small talk. Someone hits you with that dreaded, "What do you do for fun?" question. Instead of freezing up, you just say, "Well, I'm really getting into deep cleaning lately. Do you want to know the insane truth about robot vacuums?" Or if a friend complains they're bored on a Saturday, you can literally say, "Hey, I can bring my pressure washer over and we can shoot the gunk off your driveway." Suddenly, instead of a forgettable intro, your weird, obscure expertise is creating these highly engaging, totally memorable interactions. You might be having a mild panic attack right now thinking, wait, do I have to talk about cleaning all night? No, no, no. Here's the secret sauce. You don't have to talk about your spike constantly. Your spike is really just serving as a conversational foot in the door. It completely replaces that boring, generic introduction everybody else defaults to. It's a pattern interrupt. It makes people actually stop what they're doing and listen to you. Once you have their attention and they've mentally tagged you as an interesting person with a distinct vibe, you can easily just transition right back into a totally normal, everyday conversation.
So let's break this down into an incredibly simple blueprint. Step 1, find an interest. Honestly, no matter how weird or mundane it seems. Step 2, gain enough experience so you know just slightly more than the average person does. Step 3, simply bring it up naturally when you introduce yourself. And step 4, well, there literally is no step 4. It is actually that easy to build the foundation of a genuinely memorable personality.
But hold on, having a spike is really only half the battle. This right here is where a lot of people completely drop the ball. You absolutely must know how to talk about your niche in a way that regular, everyday people can actually understand. It literally does not matter how fascinating your spike is if you alienate your audience the exact second you open your mouth. You have to learn how to translate your deep, weird expertise into an accessible, fun story. For example, let's say your spike is the video game Minecraft, and you've spent the last month totally mastering it. You cannot just jump into a conversation and start bragging about how you beat the game without ever touching the ground. Why? Because the vast majority of people don't even know how Minecraft works, let alone that it actually has an ending. Instead, you have to patiently walk your listener through a little narrative. First, explain what Minecraft even is. Then, talk about how you got hooked on it. Next, explain the actual concept of beating the game. And only then do you drop the wild punchline about how you managed to beat it without ever touching the ground. The truth is, people are usually incredibly patient. They will listen to almost any topic you throw at them as long as they can actually follow along. But the very second, and I mean the exact second, you start dropping big words, insider acronyms, or heavy niche jargon just to sound smart, that is the exact moment their eyes will glaze over and they will completely tune you out. Jargon is, without a doubt, the ultimate enemy of a memorable personality. To really put this into perspective, just think about Bill Nye the Science Guy. When Bill Nye explains a volcano to you, it is absolutely fascinating, right? Because he makes it super accessible and highly engaging. But when a PhD volcano scientist tries to explain that exact same volcano using dense academic jargon, halfway through the sentence you're looking at them wondering if they're even a real human being. The goal here is simple. You want to be the Bill Nye of your spike, not the alienating PhD. Well, we have definitely covered a lot of ground in this explainer today. You now know exactly why traditional be-yourself advice fails so hard, how the Ivy League spike method can completely rebrand your social presence, and the absolute critical importance of communicating your new niche clearly without the jargon. You've got the exact blueprint in your hands to stop feeling boring and start being highly effortlessly memorable. So I'm going to leave you with this one vital question to chew on. What obscure topic are you going to choose to master, and what will your spike be?